Oh, yeah. All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News. Buzzy Black Bear News. How y'all doing? Seems a little louder than usual today. What's going on here? There we. Oh, thought we had something there. Anyways, good to see you all. Welcome. Greetings. Schultze says this place is like some 1980s TV show, and we're all a bunch of monkeys. I call it Kevin and the Bears. Yeehaw. And a big 10-4 there, rubber ducky. That was a good amalgamation of like a lot of cultural nostalgia. I liked it. All right. But greetings, everybody. And thanks for hanging out with me every day. We're live on YouTube, Callin, and on Rockfin. And we're just going to go through some things. I may actually end the show a little bit early today. We'll see how it goes. It's hard. An hour is a very short amount of time. I feel like I barely even got into the show at about an hour. Anybody see this one in The Guardian? The U.S. is averaging a chemical accident every 2 days. So there's a lot, and right, that's probably statistically true. And you just don't know, you don't hear about these other accidents, right? You don't hear about them, and most people don't pay attention to them. And the East Palestine accident is, kind of an outlier in that it got everybody's attention. Oh, good. Oh, good. We can pay attention to what we're doing to the planet for a little while. And that goes across, all the silos, all the thought silos, all the political affiliations. Everybody pretty much is across the board is like, yeah, that's bad. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that to the planet. Anyways, such accidents are happening with striking regularity. Analysis of data collected by the EPA and by nonprofit groups that track chemical accidents in the U.S. shows that accidental releases, be they through train derailments, truck crashes, pipeline ruptures, or industrial plant leaks and spills, are happening consistently across the country. By one estimate, these incidents are occurring on average every 2 days. Going back to kind of what I was saying yesterday about the lighting on fire of the planet. We're just lighting it up. Just light it on fire. Just watch it burn. You know, we act like the oopsies, or the people in charge act like the oopsies. You know, it's an oopsie and it happens once in a while. Really regrettable and all that. But no, the oopsies happen all the time. Every couple days. Constantly. Consistently and constantly. Yeah, you're right. AREM, the fireball was not an accident. They literally lit it on fire. Watched it burn. That's a fire. Roll Charlie around a little bit. He'll be all right. I never pass up a chance to quote the old Eddie Murphy. The young Eddie Murphy. Yeah, they're happening all the time. So it's continuous. Not to mention, let us not fail to speak of the continuous belching of crap into the air by our power generation, by our car driving. I mean, I could go on and on. By our plane flying. Let's not fail to mention the continuous and constant belching of toxins into the air. I mean, I think it's awesome that people who want to tell you that there's no issue with carbon dioxide going into the air, the pollution. You know, I have no issue that they're very concerned about this toxicity that's going on in East Palestine. They're very concerned. But the aggregate destruction of the planet by society as a whole, oh, no. What are you talking about? We are fine. We're doing A-okay. Anyways. Oceanic Estates says Centralia, Pennsylvania is still burning as we speak. Creative Experiments says capitalists figure we're all poisoned by sugar, opioids, and alcohol. So what's a little vinyl chloride? And also Creative Experiments. People are only concerned with the black clouds of poison you can see with the naked eye. Yeah. Pay no attention to the I don't know if it's odorless, but, you know, the vapors you can't see. The molecules. Are we talking about practice? Are we talking about molecules? Anyways. Yeah, so, you know, it goes on and on. Goes on and on. In September, for instance, 9 people were hospitalized and 300 evacuated in California after a spill of caustic materials at a recycling facility. Oopsie. I didn't even hear about that. 300 evacuated. Where was this? In October. I missed that one completely. In October, officials ordered residents to shelter in place after an explosion and fire at a petrochemical plant in Louisiana. In November, more than 100 residents of Atchison, Kansas were treated for respiratory problems, and schools were evacuated after an an accident at a beverage manufacturing facility created a chemical cloud over the town. It's almost like Creative Experiment says you can't see benzene vapor. It's almost like we should stop buying all the things that require all this filth to happen in order to make all the things, in order to sell it to you, the satisfied customer. It's almost like that, right? It's almost like if we stopped playing the game, they wouldn't, if we, you know, it's hard. It's hard to stop playing the game. I know. I'm not trying to make it sound simple, okay? 10 states with the most accidents from 2004 to 2020: Texas, Louisiana, California, Illinois, Iowa, Ohio, Arkansas, Florida, Kansas, Pennsylvania. Though industry representatives say the rate of accidents is trending down, and they always do, don't they? Worker and community advocates disagree. They say incomplete data and delays in reporting incidents gives a false sense of improvement. Right. If you don't report on it, kind of like what happened in Ohio. They tried. They were like, look at the balloon. I think we shot down some UFOs, guys. And then a couple days later, everybody was like, hey, what happened in Ohio? There was something going, it's almost like they were trying to not pay attention to it, so that maybe you might not pay attention to it either. And if nobody marks it down, then it's not happening. I don't know. Are we going to get it together? The EPA itself says that by several measurements, accidents at facilities are becoming worse. Evacuations, sheltering, and the average annual rate of people seeking medical treatment stemming from chemical accidents are on the rise, according to the EPA. So no, they are not trending down. The accidental, it just sounds good to say trending, it's trending down. I know it's going up, but it's trending down, even though it's going up. Accidental releases remain a significant concern. Yeah. Of course, though, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has pushed back on stronger regulations because we don't like them. No, sir. They get in the way of profits, arguing that most facilities operate safely. Accidents are declining. There's that trending down again. And the facilities impacted by any rule changes are supplying essential products and services that help drive our economy. Guys, you can't get in the way of that. Essential, you just label anything essential. Airplanes, essential. Cars, essential. It's all essential, right? It's all, safety, and essential. So we can't possibly regulate these guys because essential. Other opponents to strengthening safety rules, including the American Chemical Council, or Chemistry Council, American Forest and Paper Association, American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers, and our friends, indeed, the American Petroleum Institute. You remember them. The ones that kept lead in your gasoline for decades. Well, people went crazy and kids got sick. They definitely have your best interest in heart, bringing you essential items to help the economy keep going. Essential backyard pools and creative experiments. Of course. Hey, I'm running a business here. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. That looks great. Everything's going to be fine. Well, even in small doses, certain toxic chemicals can be dangerous. They can lead to long-term chronic illness. They can lead to acute illness. The end. Yes, homunculus. I can buy equals I deserve. I work for this money. I made this money. I deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve to do this. Do whatever. Oh, so I forgot to actually show. The other day, I had this in my queue. I don't know what the point of it is, other than to make people angry. Hopefully, that knuckleheads are doing stuff like this. You know about how people are doing gender reveals and they're going absolutely bananas, you know. Doing stupid stuff like gender reveals, and I mean just, you know, if it's like, "Oh, I have the money to do something insane and idiotic." You know, and incredible for a couple minutes. So that means I should do it, you know. What? Let me see if I can find it. I should do it. I should just do it just because I have the money to do it. And, you know. Oh, this is it. I found it. It's from Frida Animals. And it's somebody, they're posting a, oh, what? Oh, no. Well, I can't show it to you because they suspended the, anyways. It was somebody saying something like, was, you know, wow, that is incredible. A suspended account. I don't know what they're suspended for, but they just posted a, you know, they were like, you know, look at what these bozos are doing. And it was like a huge, like, pyrotechnic, you know, fireworks, rockets, you know, just a couple of people doing a gender reveal, but just, you know, just like almost like a Disneyland display, you know, size display of like pyrotechnics. Why? You know, you could just go on Facebook and go, it's a boy. You could just do that. You could just do that. Instead of being a lunatic and thinking that, you know, oh, you know, great. You know, I'm sure your baby is going to be extremely special to you. But it is just not work, you know, come on. Hey, Joseph, how you doing? We'll take this call. You there?
Hi there. You caught me off guard. I didn't expect you to take this call so soon.
We might as well. It's a Sunday. What can I say? Roll.
Oh, that's right. Sunday.
It doesn't really mean anything. I don't know. I'm just feeling a little bit, myself feeling a little bit just whatever. Sunday chilled out Sunday vibes or something.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Totally. Can I go back one topic?
Oh, sure.
The gas thing with the lead. Again, onion.
Yeah.
And I know you know what I'm going to say probably, but I'm trying to get people to see both sides of the coin all the time from big to small. Because I think that's the only way we're going to have a common conversation without being at each other's throats. And I'm included in that. So the oil companies are faced with a waste product called gasoline, and they need to make it run in a combustion engine that they can sell. And they have limited scope on how to do that. And lead was one answer. Now we mostly use tech, which creates triple the pollution and heat to create the car. So I ask you,
Wait, we use go back. We use what?
We use
Oh,
technology
technology. Okay, I thought you
for
were.
the most part. There are other additives in the gas to try and do the same job that the lead was doing for basically the same engines, but mostly we load tech that watches the engine and advances and retards the timing, etc.
Got it. Got it. Yes.
Right? And that's a huge environmental cost that's hidden. And everybody's pointing, oh, you had lead in the fuel. Well, yeah, but now we're all happy, dumb, driving around all this tech that destroys much more than just the lead. So
Right.
I don't have a solution. I'm saying use stuff up until it's gone and have another solution on the way, which means no
Right.
tech.
Right.
Thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I sure. Right. To. I yeah. I actually. While you're here, Joseph. Yeah. I mean, the solutions can come. So, generally tend to bring more problems. Right. That's to simplify it.
Exactly.
The solution. Well, and the solutions. I'm not saying all solutions. I'm just saying most of the solutions, and especially the ones that they end up choosing, tend to make things more complex and worse, right? More terrible in the end.
And they're answering demands. I think that's at the bottom of all of this. They are answering to demands of the workers, quote unquote, and the workers don't want to see evil in their demands. And if they can't see evil in their demands, they're only going to see evil in the people providing the options.
Right. Sure. Yeah, and that that gets a little right. You can't actually recognize what it is that you're. It's that gets into a deeper conversation where it's uh, like I'm a I'm a kind of I've always been a lefty, and I'm a supporter of human rights and civil rights and also people being provided with necessities, right? Yes. I'm a Medi-Cal for all or Medicare for all person. I support Social Security and Medicare and and housing for all and UBIs and all that kind of stuff. I support that. However, when you go a layer underneath it, which is, on a global scale, if you're looking at it in a biosphere kind of way, then all that stuff on some, it's then human rights gets to be a little tricky because it's actually pro-human, and if you're pro-human, right, if it's like humans all the time and all the best for humans all the time, and like as a human I have to support that on some level, but on a biosphere level, if I take myself out of my own human existence and look at it from a level of the whole, well, then all that stuff is actually bad for the whole, right? Because you're actually creating a situation where you're enabling 8 billion people to be on the planet and get more stuff and have more stuff and buy more stuff and eat more stuff and make more stuff, right? And so that's a tricky one. That's a weird one. When I get to that level, like there's a little bit of like, oh, maybe Mother Nature doesn't, and she doesn't. Eventually, she'll let us know. Maybe Mother Nature doesn't actually want so much humanity kind of stuff going on, right?
Well,
it's unfortunate.
I don't even know.
Not like because nature has provided all the abundance for us to live. Right?
Yes.
But we have taken way too much, like way over. We've overdrawn the account.
50 million years worth.
We have overdrawn the account. We are taking way too much. So it's like it's like here's abundance for you if you can actually just require very little to be happy and be free and right. At one with nature, and like you could actually live just fantastic lives,
that's
for the length of the lives. You could live a fantastic life if you only just required this much, right? But we're way past the this much. This much is 2% of the 2% of the whatever it is, the resources that we use, or I forget the number. There's a number, 5%. Let's say, let's be generous. 5% of the resources we use on a daily basis. That's what we should be using, and we could probably use that and be totally fine. But there's no money in it, of course. There's no money in that.
More than that, there's no control in it. If you don't have surplus, or you don't have industry of some sort, like at least agriculture, you do not have control. If everybody's wild and free, there's no ruler. And
right,
that's
exactly.
really at the heart of it.
Exactly. You're right, and there you go. There, I mean, I have said, and I still think that I mean, I don't know that anarchy is necessarily a way that we're going to be able to, I don't know about anarchy. I'm just not really like a big believer in it, but I am a believer in like in basic freedoms, right? The freedom to live and do what we want, but within a constraint, right? Right? If we could only recognize, if humans could only have the self-awareness to go, hey, if we only use this much, man, life would be way better, right? If we only had, this many babies and not all the babies all the time, things could be way better on the planet. We could be living lives of, vast abundance and happiness and right. And there's a quote.
Well,
there's a quote that I'm thinking of, which is, it's from a book, and somebody is saying, this wise person is telling one of their disciples, I'm wealthy. I'm very wealthy. And the disciple is surprised. What do you mean you're wealthy? You're what would, you live this Spartan lifestyle. You're a, I don't know I can't think of the other word for it right now, but you require very little in your life, the way you live your life. Right. And he's like, well, yeah. So I would never consider you to be a wealthy person. He's like, I'm very wealthy because I require very little. Right? I don't need all this stuff to be happy.
Sure. And that's
so my existence requires extremely, few resources. So therefore I have everything I need. And more. And I have, I have everything I could possibly want and all kinds of money in the bank account, but I don't require that. Minimalist, yes, Tim. Minimalist.
Monk.
Right. So it's like if we could only see that is the maybe the path. It's the path. It's not. Well, it's some people would say, oh, it's a path. It's one way to do it. No, it's kind of the way to do it.
It is the only way to do it, and I think the oldest sages from all the desert fathers and Lao Tzu forward say the same thing.
All the wise men of the world have said the same thing, right?
Yeah.
The wise,
and yet no one listens to that one part of it.
No one listens to that one part of it, and now we're in an age where people will tell you that part of the message is a control mechanism. They're trying to tell you that you can't have anything. Well, you can't have nothing. You got to. Here's the other thing that people are saying. 2030, you're going to own nothing and be happy. Right? And
Yes.
I'm like, yeah. Actually, ding dong. Did you ever fucking listen to Jesus or any other? The wise men say, like
even these.
They all said
even these stones here will be destroyed.
Yes, give up all of your. The goal is to become, so non-dependent on these worldly possessions. That was the path to enlightenment. And I think the word salvation was used in there somewhere, right? Salvation.
Right.
Salvation is a different thing from enlightenment. Salvation. Save yourself, right?
Yeah, salvation is as though there's a goal, and really the goal is finding a path that works towards salvation, it's the same thing as towards grace. And you can't be
Yes.
in grace if you're attached to a bunch of worldly things.
Right.
Right. The language gets shifted around and the meanings get obscured and obfuscated. And it's sad because the number of readings the average person might have to do to come to that is enormous. But I don't think that's true because I think there are 1,000 paths to that realization.
Sure. Well,
So I don't think you have to do all the readings.
right. And then I I can see why people would say, well, like, telling you that you have to be poor and be happy is a control mechanism. Well, yeah, it's hard, for the meek and the mild and the people that are willing, that want to seek transcendence and salvation and oneness with God and the universe and Mother Nature, right? They don't seek to accumulate known. So you're kind of leaving that whole path open to all the psychopaths and all the crazies, the ones that are like, well, I can do it, so I'm going to just go ahead and do it. So, the problem is, yeah, that is the path. That is the path. You should actually own nothing and be very happy, right? That actually should be the goal, to own nothing and be happy. But you actually have to stop. You have to stop you have to stop the psychopaths from using that as a control mechanism, right? You have to go what, but not you guys know, right? So I don't know. Somewhere in there, the meek and the mild have to kind of somehow get a big shillelagh and beat these people back.
Shillelagh, nice word, yeah, yeah. The whole idea that civilization has an authority or a solution to any of that is at the root of it, because the average person in the masses is going to be hypnotized by that to some degree, because everything in their life depends on it. The roads, the girls, or on the girls' side, the boys. Nobody, on average, wants somebody who's not interested in owning a new pair of shoes at some point.
Right, you're a weirdo. What is wrong with you? Don't you, what? You don't want the things? We all want all the things. Don't we all want all the things? You don't want all the things? Why do I want to hang out with you?
And a dog, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah, it becomes a problem, and then there's the criminalization.
And feeling left out is a thing. Feeling left out is a thing.
Oh, it's a suicidal road, yeah.
Right.
For a lot of
if
folks.
There was, it's just, even down to the most mundane things. Like there was a time when I was into sports and I used to listen to sports and I knew all about sports. And now I haven't cared about sports for so long. When people talk about sports, I'm just like, I don't know. And there might have been a time in my life when I felt like left out of that conversation, but now I don't give a shit. I'm like, well, if that's what, okay, whatever. And so like, but anything, movies, what's on Netflix, I don't know. It's just like, well, if you're not engaging in popular culture, then like you're
an outsider.
You're just some kind of freak doofus. Like, okay,
yeah. Hoy to all the freak doofuses. There we go.
More freak doofuses who don't I don't know who's in that movie. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I love movies, by the way. I actually do love movies.
I do too.
But I don't want it to become part of this thing that like I feel like I have to be. I like them just because I like them from an artistic standpoint, but I also see the trap of that cultural trap of it, and I'm like, it's kind of frightening. Hey, while you're here, Joseph, I wanted to actually. So yesterday I was commenting on Peter Dine's post. We're gonna jump to mirrors. But anyways,
okay.
for the rest of the show, because sorry, I got you. You're trapped. Sorry, but no, you don't have to be. You can leave if you want. But listen, so
it's okay.
Peter responded to me.
I can't see the comment.
I didn't even say anything to him. Maybe somebody said something to him. Or maybe he watches my show. I don't know. If he watches my show, that's kind of cool.
I have commented. I commented.
Was it you? Was
Peter
this you
Dines
doing?
On Twitter.
Okay.
It might be.
Oh, okay.
It might be. Sorry.
Well, yeah. I was kind of trying to figure. Oh, maybe I should go into into the replies. No, I don't think it was you, but
Oh,
he
good.
replied to me. He specifically added me. Um, he said to address this urgently. I said, because yesterday in the show I said, like, well, we have to address this, and I was like, well, what are you going to do? What is it? You know, tell me what the, what does that mean? And he said to address this urgently, we must do many things to rebalance Earth's energy. I would actually be super stoked if Peter would come on the show and explain it all to me.
I would talk to him on your show.
I would like to know, because okay, to be fair, or to be honest, I have some doubts. I have some doubts about rectifying the energy imbalance, and I know that we have to try it. I'm not. That's the thing, is I'm in a weird place because I feel like we should try. We should do what we can do.
What do you think?
But
that
I also
entails?
feel like who doggy, that is a lot of energy imbalance to rectify, right?
Well, when they say rectify, or you say
or
rectify,
to put it back right, like he's saying. Well, I'll just read it. To address this urgently, we must do many things to rebalance Earth's energy. Some are listed here, and he gave me a website, so that's cool. He gave me a website to go to with a list of things, and so I looked at them, and it's there's not new ideas there. It's all ideas that we've all heard about. He says, obviously my work concentrates on ground-based reflectors, which have a CROI, cooling return on investment, over 1,000. I guess that's 1,000 to 1.
which is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. If you watch the Sabina heating video, it doesn't mean a thing. And she's not even explaining the.
I didn't watch that. I didn't watch the
reference.
heating video. No.
Are
we talking about the same one?
Yes, because that explains that the heating is lower. All the reflectors are doing is adding heat to that range, and they're both assuming that heat's being forced then not to enter from outer space, which clearly in the same video she tells you why it does, because it comes in at such a frequency that it strikes the earth and oceans, and what you're getting backwards is reflected heat, which is a very complex subject, as anyone that's taken a thermodynamics class should understand. What reflectors do is keep what's under them cool. They aren't sending heat to space in any greater volume overall than without them. They're just moving it to a higher atmospheric level in concentration, which causes things to happen faster and more efficiently. They're cooling on the way up. They're cooling the crap on the way up. The energy is being drawn to the poles. Whichever pole has the most capacitance at that season to dump heat into the oceans, that's where it's ultimately going. But there's a lot of physics to get there, before the argument is proven to the level of the physics of the reflector itself, based on what they're making their argument on with Boltzmann, etc. They're talking thermodynamics and quantum physics, but they're doing it with quantum mechanics without addressing a larger reference frame or two. And that's a real heady argument. And it's really clever that industry is either being manipulated that way, or is it all just too stupid and disarrayed? I haven't made up my mind yet.
Yeah, I mean,
if you've understood enough of that, you get what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yes. I do get that. And that's why I don't want to. It's hard because I don't want to feel like I'm dousing ideas with, cold water, but that's a lot of people, I'm not alone. Right. And so many other people are just like, yeah. And is there any, so is there any benefit, I guess, to just mimicking the thing called albedo? And I think also what he actually, they're doing a test or they're trialing this out in Sierra Leone and India. And I think what they're doing is basically giving people rooftop reflectors, and this will keep the area under the reflectors cooler, right? So it's going to
Correct.
give some cooling to anything that's under these reflectors, right? So,
And I don't disagree with that at all.
okay.
But here's the thing: if you want to benefit the Earth with that, then you need to enclose that reflector, or at least have the return, the reflected energy, filtered through, flowed through, whichever. There's a million ways to go about what I'm about to say, but in some way it needs to be synced into the Earth at least a couple meters down. And if you do that, you are benefiting the whole with it to some degree, even with some industry being involved. You can also condense potable water out of that. You can create wetlands with that. And reflectors might make that process exceedingly efficient. And that's the real math and physics that needs to be examined to say whether or not this is viable or not. Can it be done more efficiently than using just earth and materials, et cetera, and plain capacitance like I do, and water volume? Because if that's true, then that's absolutely a benefit, and I'm all for trying to help out do it.
Yeah,
but if you're trying to send it to space, I'm going to shoot it down with physics that says you just can't. It violates too many rules.
Got it. I mean, but you have.
Sorry,
we're losing. No. I mean, it's fine. I'm just. Ominous Heat says, how many thousands of nuclear bombs worth of heat are being captured due to extra CO2? A lot. Mirrors aren't going to solve that.
No, it's not about solving. This is like something every living human on the planet has to do in concert together and support one another in the effort.
Well, and that therein lies the issue, is the enormity of the task, right? And I'll just read the list of the other things that are on this mitigation or what's called the Planet Earth Cool Kit. There's biochar, there's BECS, there's direct air capture. So I think people already
crazy.
Yeah. Enhanced atmospheric methane oxidation. That's one
crazy
I haven't heard of. Methane removal. Enhanced weathering. I've heard of that. Kelp growing. Heard of that. Marine cloud brightening. Yes. Mirrors. Ocean iron fertilization. There is also that. What do you think about that one? Does that
all of these things are adding thermal mass?
Right. Okay.
Right. All of these things are adding thermal mass of one sort or another and changing a ratio of it to one particular form, and ignoring stratification in the ocean entirely. And that's the problem. Back to the original question on the CO2, that is a correlative indication of what's happening. It is not the cause of all of it. It's being assigned a ratio in orders of magnitude more than its own cause. That's why that video that Sabina made is so helpful. And her next video on this topic, I completely disagree with, by the way.
I'll have to go watch that one.
It's entertaining. I don't understand how she goes from one to the other. You can literally line them up and see where she kind of argues with her own statements.
Well, and here we go. Here we go too. This is always the case. Way down on the list is trees, planting and growing trees. It's always like the natural, generating a water cycle, right? Restarting the water cycle, or regenerating a water cycle, or all those things that
the nonprofit
Jane is talking about in Australia and other people. But like those solutions are always like the last on the list, right? Or how about stop building infrastructure? How about I don't know. I could think of other things, whereas like you could say create like civilian corps or joint army corps to go out and like help people create community gardens, right? Permaculture community gardens, right? And just get everybody right. Start giving. There was somebody, I was reading an article the other day where somebody was saying, let's just start, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting who was saying this, let's just start giving oh, maybe it was somebody I was talking to. Let's start giving farmers, just giving them the ability to like create energy, solar panels or wind turbines. Who was it that I was talking to? My mind is a jumble. But you know what I mean? Like, just start giving people, like, we have the facility and the capacity and the power and the money and all that stuff to just start giving people, like, well, here's a house, here's some simple, non, as non-destructive ish ways to generate some power. Right? Here's a solar panel. Here's a home. Everybody start growing your own food. This is like emergency climate change emergency. Right? Here's what we're gonna do. Right? No more roads. Cars are off the roads. We're all gonna share. Every community of a. And again, this does sound like what an entire group of people is trying to scare you about. 15-minute smart cities and like, oh, they want us all to live in this little block. Well, dude, that actually is what you would do in a climate emergency. You would urge people to like, okay, hey, we're really taking the airplane thing way down, about 300 notches, right? Airplanes only for emergency use, right? No more airplanes. Get the cars off the roads. Everybody's going to grow their own food. People, and do it in a way that it's not like top heavy, controlled down. We're all tracking you and tracing you and making sure that you comply, right? Like, look, we're going to give you these tools to get out of this, to kind of take yourself away from the system, right? You're going to grow your own food. You're going to have a house to live. We'll give you food until you figure out how to grow your own food, right? Like, these are crazy ideas, right? Because, oh my God, socialism and communism. But
can I address some of that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, yeah, we're going to hear all kinds of crazy stuff. All kinds of crazy stuff's going to happen. But in all of that, industry is both being attacked and relied upon as the solution. It's being attacked as the problem, only in lieu of the cars and roads, and then we're saying we're going to replace it with windmills, which you can't have without roads.
Right.
And
I know,
huge trucks and lots of diesel.
It's
right?
It's a complicated, right. It'll be a complicated dance, right?
It's a nonsensical thing. With what we have, when you're in a real emergency, which is people keep looking at this like it's something that's going to happen. It has already happened. We are on the downside of it. So we have to look at it like, well, what do we have? And what do we need to not need any of the things that we have because it's all going away? That's the place we're at.
True.
And
story.
We have a lot of cars and we have a lot of infrastructure for cars. So what do we do with that? Well, first of all, let's not replace it. Let's use what we got really efficiently to do the most with it. And I would say moving the earth around into terrace structures of some sort that are all like systemically independent. In other words, this 20 people can do this all by themselves. That 50 people can do that all by themselves. And the stuff that they can each come up with surplus-wise, that's what they share. And then rather than have 20 cars for 20 people, you got 2 cars for 20 people.
Right. I mean, you can start to just take it down, by orders of 20 or 30 times, right? Take down the level of civilization that we're living at, right?
Find your baseline. Yes.
Right.
Find the baseline for what we can make work.
Right.
Rather than adding a different contingency factor into it. And that's true science anyway. Don't complexify, decomplexify.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, when I say stuff like that, that's kind of what I'm talking about is like, there is going to be no perfection, right? First of all, like you can.
Oh no,
there's going to be zero perfection. It's going to be totally messy and completely, kind of seems stupid on a lot of levels, and maybe
all levels.
Right, maybe, and not worth it, or whatever. You can throw up all the arguments that you want, but I'm just saying, just on a basic level, to give people people. I notice I haven't said anything about like regulate how many children you can have or talk about. I'm not talking about that
exactly.
at all. I'm not talking about that at all.
Those are problems that self-solve.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. If you just give people, here's the facility to feed yourself and house yourself, and we will help you out. We'll help you through this transition, right? We're going to transition away from this massive, complex industrial monster that we've created. and we're going to take and we're going to go, just in the simplest cartoonish terms. Look, we're going to urge everyone to kind of do, kind of like an Amish thing, right? Everybody's going to do a little
That
Amish
is a good
lifestyle.
model.
We're going to
Yes.
reduce, we're going to urge you to reduce your energy consumption way down, and instead of punishing people, or tracking people all the time, we'll just, I mean, if you were just communicating correctly to people, like, hey, this is what we need to do, this is an emergency, and this is what's got to happen. I mean, people would kind of regulate them, right? You'd have communities saying, like, hey, Jimbo, like, bro, were you going to give up your Hummer or what? Like, we gave up our cars and we're using a, shared vehicle that sits at the end of the road, right? And we all take turns, or we have a lottery, and nobody really needs to do it anyways because we're going on food and there's nowhere really for us to go. We don't need to go to this job thingy or whatever. Like,
that's the key. Yeah.
Right? And so it's like,
it's a huge step.
Right. You'd have to give people a way to get out of jobs, off the job teat, right? Look, everybody's going to grow their own food. They're going to do it as a community. They're going to share, what's the most basic need? Food, shelter, water. Right.
And here's something.
And we'll help you get all of this stuff and make this transition. And you guys are going to have to figure out how it is that you organize yourself in the best possible fashion to make this happen without going, I don't know how you keep the, humans going nuts element out of it, where, like, somebody's
that's
like, well,
the big problem.
I've got all the water, right? It's just like there's always that one dude. It's just like, how do you make that transition with keeping those kind of people, in check or out of the picture? I don't know.
3% of our surface water is potable. I mean, 3% of the fresh water on the surface is potable.
Right.
And out of that, in Western civilization, the largest chunk goes to industry.
Right. Right.
And I can't stress enough how self-destructive that is to Earth.
Sure.
And I think that is going to be the Achilles heel of all of this.
Right.
And that's rapidly becoming apparent in more and more places.
Right.
I think that's the biggest scare on the planet. And I think it's the biggest thing being controlled from everyone being on board with being the biggest scare on the planet. Right. At the moment. Right. I'd like to hear anybody's, views on that. If you've got an audience typing stuff frantically.
I mean, there's lots going on in the chats. I mean, but to go back to what you said. Hold on. I think shit. I lost it. You said something earlier that was pretty good. But I've completely lost my train of thought. So, I just think that, like, we're gonna have to. Oh, this is what it was. You said something about we're going there anyways. We're already on the downslope. So it's like and I've said this a bunch of times. It's like we could either decide to do this together, or we could have it forced upon us. Not by
that's the choice.
Not by the WEF or anybody like that, or Bill Gates. We're not there. It's going to just be what's going to happen as everything unravels. Right? People are going to be forced to grow their own food, figure out how to get by without a job, or figure out how to get by with very little money. I mean, everybody's going to have to acquire those skills one way or another. Why not do it? Why not do it before it turns into something ugly, right? Before it turns into whoever has the guns on the the most guns wins, or whoever whatever. Before it gets
that's
just
where
like
we're at in a lot of areas.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in that world.
Hell no.
I'm not looking
in that world. I don't want any part of that. Screw that. Like.
Right.
I would prefer if people got together as a community and had some sane conversations about, like, well, this is what is happening, and this looks like the best road to take out of this very dire situation. So maybe we, perhaps we could all get together and figure that out, like, before it gets nasty. Or we could all
really
just
have a
point
choice.
fingers at each other and until the end and go like, oh, it's their fault. No, it's not our fault. No, you're stupid. What are you talking about? That's not happening. We could just do that until the end, and that'll be totally helpful. Hey, man, I'm going to let you go because it's the end of the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for the...
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Joseph. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Turned into a whole conversation, but maybe I'll hit Peter Dines up, and we can... I would love to have a conversation about how it's working, how it's going with the with the reflectors, and what he sees might be the benefits, the issues, all of that, the physics. I'm sure he knows way more about it than I do. All right, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow at the regular time, and peace out.